All right. It's saying we're live. So I always want to make sure, go on YouTube here. All right. And I just heard myself on YouTube. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is exciting. We've got a special episode today on A Fresh Perspective with not one, not two, but three Tims.
Three Tims.
And this is all the Tim Bible reviewers that I know.
We need one more.
Another,
but Wild Smith in the bottom middle there, we need somebody next to him.
That'd be nice.
That's true. So I'm seeing on YouTube we got Wildsmith on the bottom.
Yep.
So if anybody's watching, we'd love to see in the comments. If you're watching, let us know that you're out there and where you're watching from, and we're just kind of making sure that we're actually on YouTube. That's what I want to do first. But it looks like it's all set. And what we're going to do today is really cool.
4 people watching. Mike Howard, my homie Mike Howard, always comments on my video.
There we go. The Timidity. Yes, I saw people on Facebook trying to come up with something with our three names and Trinity. They were really trying to go with that Trinity theme because we got three Tims.
That's a little intimidating.
Yes, lots of Tim puns today. Three Tims. And I need to apologize for all of you non-Tims that wanted to be in this video today. I know that Bo Tate was really bummed. He wanted to be part of this conversation. He said when he saw that we were going to be, I would love to have Bo, but he doesn't have the right name for this particular video. And he's not the only person who told me he'd like to join us, but unfortunately, this is something we had planned ahead of time. This was the brainchild of Tim Nichols, who said we got to get us three Tims together. So I'm blaming it on you, Nichols.
So what time zone he lives in his own self?
What was that?
Okay.
And apparently, I don't even know my own time zone.
Yeah.
From our
yeah. Yes, we had a little bit of a time problem last time. All right, let me just before we get really into this, explain to everybody what we're going to do. We're going to give time for each Tim to lead the conversation. So we're going to have 3 sections. The first section is going to be Tim Nichols. He's going to lead the discussion for the first part for about 20 minutes. And then Tim Wildsmith will lead the second part of the discussion for about 20 minutes. And then I will do the end, and hopefully we'll have, still some time to talk by then. And what I'm going to be focused on in my portion is taking any questions from the audience. So as you guys come in here into the live chat, feel free to leave questions that you have for us. Anything that comes up during our conversation that you want to know more about, or maybe just an opinion of ours that you wanted to hear what we thought on something, feel free to leave that in the comment section. And I will try to field questions at the end of our conversation. The other thing I think that's really important to do is, since you guys have, you both have advertisements for your channels, I see on your shirts.
Yes.
Right.
And perspective.
So what channels do we've got here?
Nicholsworth.
There we go.
Keep calm.
Keep calm. Jesus on.
Oh, that's great.
This is a new shirt that my wife made for me. It says "Hello, friends" for Bible Review Blog. And it's a one of a kind. It's a one of a kind shirt, but maybe I'll work on that.
Oh, so. This is the one of a kind shirt too.
See, because we got one of a kind.
But I think we need two of a kind so we can wear each other's one of a kind.
Well,
there you go.
What I have is my mug. I don't have the shirt on today, but I do have a Fresh Perspective mug. What do you guys think of this? I bet you would like to have this in your hands, wouldn't you, Tim Wildsmith?
Oh, I would love to have one of those in my hands.
Would you like that? Let me just pass that down to you. You ready? Here you go.
Yeah. Oh, I think I got it. There it is.
Wait.
That's nice, man.
Wildsmith gets a mug and I don't.
I lost you guys. Where'd you go?
Uh-oh.
Say what?
Oh no.
I lost audio. I can still see you. I assume that Nichols says he wants this mug. Is that what you're saying, Nichols?
Yes.
You want the mug? Let me see. Can I see it down there? Oh, here you go, buddy. Let me see if I can hand it down there to you.
That's amazing.
Oh, what did
All
you
right.
I
put?
worked on that gag really hard, y'all.
And then I've got mine still. Yes. All right. Well, there you go. That's your humor for the day. All right. So I think that's good for introduction. It looks like people are joining us. Good to see you here, Mike. And I see Manel says my favorite Tim's. Thank you. Good to see Dwayne there.
Is Deerwood Christian Jason?
Yes, Jason Whitaker, Deerwood Christian. What's up? Good.
I don't feel
Good.
worthy.
Good seeing. Yeah, it's great. We got a lot of people here. Awesome. All right. So I'm gonna hand it over, not the mug. We already did that. I'm gonna hand the conversation over to Tim Nichols now and ask us whatever you want.
All right. Well, some folks on my channel have been asking about being a little more personal and not just talking about Bibles, but actually talking about our stories. So that's going to kind of be the segment I'm going to cover because, what's your background? Where'd you come from? How'd you become a Christian? And when you became a Christian, how did you get into ministry? Because I know both of you all do some level of ministry. Wildsmith, we're going to have to go by last names because if I say Tim, it's going to be confusing. Wildsmith is actually teaching in a college now, like a campus pastor. So we'll start with you. How did you get where you are today? How did you become?
Wow.
And how did you get to the place where you came into ministry?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was actually same thing, Nichols. I recently did a review of the Be Thou My Vision liturgical daily devotional from Crossway, and I kind of shared a little bit about my background in that video, and a lot of people seem to like that, and hearing a little bit more. So, I grew up mostly in Omaha, Nebraska. My dad was in the corporate world, so we bounced around a little bit. But I grew up in a Christian home, and my parents really made it a priority to get me and my sister into a good church where the Bible was preached and where they had good kids ministry. So, I mean, I became a Christian when I was 7 or 8 years old and got baptized. We were at a Baptist church at the time. And, was always part of the programs like Awana when I was a kid, and then going to youth group in junior high and high school. And so when I really first got into ministry, my sophomore year of college, I started attending a local church here in Nashville as a Belmont student. And one of my mentors had been my small group leader in high school. And so I went to the youth pastor at the church and said, hey, I'd like to volunteer to be a small group leader. And they said, hey, come on, we'd love to have you. So I started being a small group leader. And then it was during that time that they said, hey, you can play guitar, right? Would you lead worship for us one night? And I randomly started leading worship at that church for the youth group. And that put me into like a decade of worship leading as a profession. I finished Belmont, moved back to Nebraska. My youth pastor hired me. So my first full-time job was at the church that I mostly grew up at. And I was one of the worship leaders on staff at the church and doing youth ministry. And then I went to another church and was their worship leader for about 4 years. It was part of the Acts 29 network. A lot of people heard about that. It was kind of a new hip thing back then. That podcast last year gave me some PTSD, but I loved all the guys that I was in church with. I didn't have a lot of bad experiences or anything. So it was really worship leading was my early ministry, and throughout my 20s. And then I reconnected with Becca, my wife, in 2011 and moved back down here to Nashville, and spent about 3 years in the music industry because I knew a bunch of people who worked in the music industry. I traveled with a Christian rock band called Cutlass for a couple of years, and I did merch and guitar teching. I was a tour manager for a couple of other bands. So I was on the road in the music industry and really started to miss worship leading in particularly and being in the local church. And so back in like 2013, 2014, randomly, I started leading worship again at that church that I led worship at as a college student. But now it was like, 10 or 15 years later. There's a Baptist church here in Nashville. And after about a year of leading worship, they were doing a youth pastor search. And just because I was around, they said, hey, would you be our interim youth pastor? And I was like, I'm not really a pastor. I'm a musician. And they were like, well, we think you do a great job. And so I decided to become their youth pastor temporarily in an interim while they did the search. And then the search kind of honed in on me, and they ended up offering me the job. So I was a full-time youth pastor for almost 6 years at a church here in Nashville. And during that time, I decided to go to seminary. I mean, one of the things I've said on my channel is that as I was doing ministry, and it wasn't just music anymore, it was, shepherding people and teaching teenagers. I really wanted to deepen my well, so to speak, when it came to the Bible in particular. And so I enrolled at Fuller Theological Seminary in 2016. I left that church in 2019 and went full-time to seminary. So I finished at Fuller in 2020, kind of right after the pandemic began. And kind of was doing a lot of different stuff. That's when I started Bible Review Blog, just because I was a little bit bored because I didn't have a job and I had some downtime as I was finishing seminary. And then about a year ago, my friends at Belmont reached out, where I went to college, and they have a whole campus ministries department where they basically have college pastors on staff at the university. Not just, instead of being a college pastor at a church, you're like a college pastor at the university. They do chapel and discipleship programs, Bible studies, mission trips, all that stuff for the university. And so kind of similar to the youth pastor gig, I started out in an interim job, just kind of helping them out because they needed some help. And then just a few weeks ago, they offered me a full-time job. So my title is Director of Faith Formation and Student Engagement. So it's really discipleship programs for students and helping out with the chapel program, and just kind of being a college pastor, pastoral care on campus for our students and even our faculty and staff. And Becca and I are also plugged in at a local church here in Nashville as their worship leaders. Us and another couple kind of trade off leading worship for them. So so I really do see Bible Review Blog kind of as an extension of all of that, local church ministry, love of worship ministry, really spending time in seminary, focusing on studying the Bible and getting to know the Bible and all that. And then now, the goal, so to speak, of Bible Review Blog is to help people find a Bible that's right for them, which has been really, really a fun process. So I see it as something fun for me to do, to check out Bibles and to be on YouTube and to create, fun content, but also to have a ministry. So that's kind of my story of ministry track. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 different local churches that I've served on in some capacity in like a paid staff position. And then now at Belmont as a kind of a college pastor. So yeah, that's my story.
New job, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been really fun. And it's actually spring break this week, so it's a little bit quieter around, but it's been nice to kind of dive in. And college students are real fun and real interesting, and there's a lot going on. So it's been fun it's different than working at a local church, where it's kind of like more of a narrow stream, so to speak, where, you're all kind of moving in the same path. At a college university like level, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of people. Belmont is not a denominationally affiliated Christian school. And so there's people from all walks of life and all spectrums of faith. And so we're trying to create a place for everybody to come and deepen their faith and be college students. So it's been, I do, as you said, Nichols, I do get to teach a couple classes. Like I teach the youth ministry class for the College of Theology at Belmont, and I might be teaching some other classes in the future. So I get to do a little bit of everything. It's really, really fun.
Cool. So just real quickly, how does you now having this demanding job, how do you feel that's going to affect your channel or at all?
That's a good point. Last couple of weeks, it's been really, really busy at work, and like I didn't get to all the videos that I wanted to. But I do have some flexibility in my schedule, and hoping to kind of keep up with things. I've got a to-do list, of the Bibles I want to review and the fun videos I want to create. So I'm trying to keep up with it as much as possible. So I've been doing this for 7 or 8 months, going to Belmont almost every day. So I don't think it'll make a huge change. I'm going to try to keep it up, but yeah.
Right. All right. Well, Frisch, tell us your story. How did you get saved? How did you get into ministry? And how did you end up on YouTube talking about hot topics?
Oh man. Yeah. Someone asked in the comments, is this going to be about J Mac today? And I want to answer that right now. That is not going to be our topic for today. We're going to steer clear of that topic. We're just talking about our our own journeys, and we're talking about Bibles, Bible reviews, that sort of thing. But we're not going to talk about anything that controversial. Yeah, see, here's the thing. I came from a fundamental Baptist background. My dad was a church planter back in the 1970s, and he planted a church in Trenton, New Jersey. He was originally from Florida. That's where my parents are from. They moved up to the Northeast. I live in New Hampshire now. And if you live in New Hampshire, which is pretty far north, they don't exactly consider New Jersey part of the Northeast. But if you're from Florida, they don't consider New Jersey South by any means. So nobody really wants to claim New Jersey. But when my dad was looking to plant a church in the 70s, it just, was apparent to him that New Jersey really needed a good gospel influence, needed churches. So he planted New Testament Baptist Church in 1975. I was born in Trenton, New Jersey in 1979. And I grew up in that church plant environment where it was a pretty new church. And it was actually, very healthy church and a really wonderful experience. So my personal experience in the Fundamental Baptist Church was not a negative one. However, on the large scale, I think that fundamentalism has definitely had problems. And so part of my journey, I got saved. My parents led me to the Lord when I was 6 years old. And then I was baptized when I was 8 years old. So I came to faith at quite a young age and never really outwardly, strayed in any way. But I've always had a lot of internal things that I've really grappled with, in my faith and in my understanding. And thank you for holding up the mug, because that's where I I feel like over time, I did ministry for quite a few years, getting out of Bible college in 2001. I was at a Baptist church in Claremont, New Hampshire, where I live, on staff for about 18 years. But I really felt the Lord leading me more to outreach type ministry and interchurch ministry. And I've also had other theological training since my undergrad. So with all of that, I just feel like my journey has led me to experience a lot of different types of Christians and have a lot of theological discussions from different backgrounds, and also trying to be evangelistic, trying to share truth with people, trying to share the gospel with people. And all of that just has led me to say, yeah, I want to be part of something where I can really express what I believe from my heart, but also I hope have dialogue with people and get their feedback. I feel like conversation is so important, especially in our day. So on my channel, I do talk about controversial issues, but it's not to say, here's the right way that everybody must think. It's more to say, hey, I know this is something we're all thinking about, or hopefully we're trying to think about it in a biblical way. Let's talk about it. Yeah. So that's where the controversy stuff comes in. But, even off the bat, my channel grew very, very slowly. Nobody really wanted to hear, this guy from New Hampshire. But when I started doing Bible reviews, people were interested in that because, they love the Bible and they're interested to see about, especially these really nice premium Bibles. So that actually helped my channel start to gain an audience when I started reviewing Bibles. But it's just a piece of the pie for what I do in Bible reviews. But that's pretty much my story.
Yeah, and
as distinctly as I can tell it.
First of all, I just want to talk about real quickly how both of you do a phenomenal job at what you do. Tim Wildsmith, from more of a strict Bible review perspective, although he took on tattoos once, which is a beautiful video. If you have not watched Tim Wildsmith's video covering tattoos, you need to go and watch it. It's a super incredible video. And Tim Wildsmith, or Tim, I'm getting my Tims mixed up, Tim Frick, just what he does beyond Bible reviews. You're one of the very few people that kind of got stuck in that Bible review niche that managed to get their way out of it and still be successful as a reviewer. I know that I've dabbled in things outside of it and it's flopped. And I know even like a Wildsmith, a lot of the stuff that he posted isn't Bible reviews. It doesn't do as well. but you have managed to find that spot to where you've really, truly, in my mind, become an influencer, not just a Bible reviewer, to where you are influencing culture and really making a difference. And it's just incredible to partner with you all and watch your content and really support and champion your content, because it's what you all are doing is a big deal.
Yeah. Can I interrupt you there, Tim, just to say,
Sure.
sorry, I've said this to Tim Frisch privately, but I would love to say it publicly. Like that heartbeat of recognizing that everyone has a perspective and that we can have healthy dialogue about it. That's one of the things I love the most about your channel, Tim Frisch, is that you really do. You talk about things, but you're always welcoming, and your channel is a place where people can have disagreements and talk about things, but they can do it in a respectful way, and that we don't call each other heretics when we disagree with them.
Right.
And I definitely think our world is so polarized, and I often see so many Christians attacking one another. And I'm with you on that, man. I want to give you credit for doing that on your channel. I think it's a good testament to all of us to recognize that somebody who I didn't grow up in that same context that you did. So I'm naturally going to see the world with a different set of eyes and a different perspective and a different context background than you are. And that doesn't mean that you're wrong and I'm right. We can have a nuanced conversation about things, and we can recognize that people see things differently than us. And I love that your channel does that. And I wish that, I think the world is a world of hot takes and really extreme opinions. And, you get views by disagreeing and being loud. I love that your channel gets views in a way that's not that. So I really appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
that's very kind of you. Thank you.
And just to kind of poke at Jason Whitaker tries to pull Frisch out of that little safe zone every now and then and pull him into it is fascinating to watch those two work together, because Jason is very direct and very opinionated, and I know Frisch is as well, but he tries to keep it in neutral. Tries to, okay, let's put this back into the middle here. And it is so Jason, keep poking that bear, because that is fun to watch. So real quickly,
yeah.
You got something, Tim Frisch?
Oh, let me just quickly say that as you're talking about, this stuff with my channel, I must say that inwardly, there's a part of me that feels bad when it comes to Bible reviews. Especially, I feel like my channel is a hodgepodge of different things, and I feel a little bad sometimes for the publishers, because if they send a Bible to just a review channel, it's just a review channel, and that's really good. I there is that struggle, so I hope that I'm handling topics in a way that doesn't distance any one group too much, because I can imagine that it's got to be a little bit weird if you're saying, okay, we're going to send this guy a Bible and it's our product, but then who knows what he's going to be talking about on Wednesday,
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. So
I think
it seems to be working.
You strike a good balance. I mean,
absolutely.
We've made that real clear, and it's definitely appreciated. So my story is going to be very different than the two of yours. I grew up in a non-Christian household. I grew up in a biker / drug / alcoholism, fell into that same trap. By the time I was in high school, I was smoking dope, selling dope, doing all the wrong stuff. And it was what I was trained to do. It was what my family did. It was our reputation in the West End of Louisville. And I don't want to say too much because this is live and I don't want to dishonor my family, but it was definitely a rough upbringing. And when I turned 18 is when things really spun out of control. I got in a cussing match with my mother back and forth and threw me out of the house. Of course, who wouldn't? And when I came back home to kind of get my stuff, it was already stuffed in my car. Spent the next 6 months homeless, sleeping behind a bar. It was, and this isn't a sad story. This is a great story, but our journeys are all different. And I went through about 3 years of that, going into apartments and different friends that would turn me on to different drugs and different things. And I was to a place in my life where I read the book of Revelation. I don't know who starts in the book of Revelation. This guy starts in the book of Revelation. Why I started in the book of Revelation, I have no idea. But I was searching for answers. I watched the movie Left Behind, that weird movie from the 70s that has the weird soundtrack. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it. If you've heard of Left Behind, or not Left Behind, I'm sorry, Thief in the Night. If you've heard of the movie A Thief in the Night, then let me know in the comments with the weird 70s hippie music and all that stuff going on. I watched that. It freaked me out, turned me to the book of Revelation. And I was a Catholic at the time. And many of you know that I review Catholic material, Orthodox material. I try to really be balanced and all of that, but I am no longer a Catholic. I've made that abundantly clear. There are things in that vein that I have disagreements with, but I don't try to be controversial or angry about it. But anyhow, at that time, the Catholic Church simply was not where I felt I fit. So I started looking for answers and just trying to find, how do I get free from this life? How do I get free from this torment? Started having tormenting dreams about the return of Christ, things I didn't even know about. And I wanted peace. So I started like keeping Lent and doing the fasting and eating fish on Fridays and, doing good deeds and working at soup kitchens, and just nothing was working. It was like, okay, I cannot do my way out of this thing. I need to find out what needs to happen. And then that's when I ran into someone at my workplace that basically guided me to a church. And this church took me about 3 Sundays, but for the first time, I heard an adequate presentation of the gospel in my life. I understood what it meant to be a sinner. I understood what it meant to need salvation. I understood what it meant to be, I can't help myself out of this. I understood that someone had to die in my place. It was like all that was presented to me, and I was like, this is it. And I went to the altar, and the guy prayed with me. He had a blonde mullet. The dude's name was Phil Chapin, just in case anybody's wondering. Had a blonde mullet. So yes, I was led to the Lord by a guy in a blonde mullet, and had a transformation that day. Instantly delivered from drugs, instantly delivered from alcohol, instantly delivered from several things that were holding me back. I mean, it was an instantaneous change. This is not normal. Most people, it's a graduate process. And of course, there were other things that I had to wrestle through, but I'm talking about drugs, alcohol, and primarily sexual sin was just like, that desire was gone. Went home, threw away all my stuff. And about 4 months later, the pastor told me, now, pastors, I don't recommend this. The pastor told me, I've been looking for a youth pastor, and I want you to consider it. Now, keep in mind, 4 months saved, just married, have recently got married. So I had not been a Christian 11 months. So there was like about a 7-month training process that the pastor took me through some schooling and through some discipleship. And by April, which I got saved in July, and by April of the next year, I was a youth pastor. And again, pastors, don't follow this model. This normally doesn't work. It did work for me. And I was at that church for 4 years, really saw some great things happen. Went to a little town called Burkesville, Kentucky after that, became a full-time youth pastor for the first time. And that's really where I learned. Burkesville was where it's a little bitty town. I had to slow down, couldn't be as busy. No one was in as big a hurry as they were in Louisville. And I really learned ministry. I learned how to shepherd and take care of students. And I was there for 7 years. And that's when God brought me to Elizabethtown, Kentucky, which is where I'm at now. I was a youth pastor there from 2006 until 2009. Then an opportunity to pastor the church came up, and somebody asked me to throw my hat in the ring. And I did. And there were some rough patches, but I eventually became the pastor. And that's kind of where I'm at today. I'm pastoring Lakeside E-Town, really enjoying life, really enjoying my family. I've got 4 kids and love all 4 of them, and just excited. I have a great wife, great life, great family. And then how I became a reviewer, that's an interesting story because it was completely by accident. I didn't know that there was such thing as Bible reviews. No idea. I wasn't really tuned into YouTube. And unless you're looking for Bible reviews on YouTube, you're really not going to find them. It's not like they're going to show up on your feed randomly. So a friend of mine and we found this strange book called the Sefer, or Sefer, as some people call it. It has a bunch of extra books, and it was just weird. So we made a video on it. I was like, we're going to make this video. And next thing you know, like 2 days later, it had like 1,500 views. It was like, whoa, people are interested in this. So then my buddy was like, well, I wonder what happened if I was to call a publisher and say, hey, we just made a video, got 1,500 views, we're building. And he contacted Crossway. And Crossway hooked us up with like 3 Bibles. And I was like, you mean they do this? So then I'm like, okay, wait a minute. How do you do Bible reviews? So then I typed Bible reviews in the YouTube search engine, and I found the legend Randy Brown. And I took in as many of his videos. Then I found Botate. took in as many as his videos. Bible believing Christian Cat Wood started taking in those videos, and I was like, okay, so now I have a format of how to do it. And then my friend and I made a channel. He eventually moved to Ohio. I started my own channel. I was like, I want to be different. I don't want to do what everyone else is doing. So I made a play off my last name, which there seems to be someone I know that has done that before, that made a play off their last name. And I decided 5 minutes was my format. I've had people try to pull me out of that. I wish you would do this. I wish you would do that. I'm like, there are dozens of reviewers that cover a plethora of content. If you want details, go to R. Grant Jones. Dude makes like hour and 15-minute reviews, so, but there's everybody in between the spectrum. And that's just kind of where I landed. It is a joy to do what I do. And it's really exciting to be a person that people actually care about your opinion. Who knew? So that's kind of my story.
That's a fantastic story, man. Thanks for sharing. That's incredible. I mean, and praise God that you were able to turn your life around like you have.
Oh my goodness. I'd probably be dead by now, to be honest. So
I actually kind of fell into Bible reviews too. The very first Bible review I ever did was kind of random because the Bible showed up and it was not what I was expecting and I couldn't find anything on it. So I made something and it ended up being the first Bible that Crossway produced in China. And I was like the first person to have anything on it. And so people flooded to that video to talk about how much they hated it. And I got that dopamine hit of, oh, people like might like my video. I should make more of these. So it's kind of a fluke that I started doing it,
By the way, Smith is producing a new CD, correct?
I am working on new music. Yeah, I recorded 2 songs. It's only 2 songs, but the first one is coming out very soon. And the next one I'm going to save a little bit. I'm going to kind of tease it out. But yeah, I've got some new music coming as well. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, that concludes my part. So
we'll hand it over to Tim Wildsmith.
All right. I am excited about this to have this conversation because I made a video at the beginning of the year called the most exciting Bible releases for 2022. That video is it's the best performing video of my channel ever so far. And it's just, I talked to a lot of different publishers and said, hey, what's coming out this year? What should we be prepared for? I accidentally announced a couple things that were not public knowledge yet.
Dude, what are you doing? They told me not to say anything.
Yeah. I got a couple of emails. I'm like Tom Holland when they do Spider-Man interviews before the movie comes out and he's trying to figure out what he's not allowed to say. I actually right now, as we're having this conversation, I'm reminding myself that there are a couple of things I know that are top secret that I cannot talk about on this video. But we actually had this plan, and I noticed that Doug Souter asked a couple questions about this in the comments already. But the goal here is to say to you guys, it's been a pretty slow release schedule. A few new Bibles have come out in 2022, but we're about to get a bunch. So basic question for this segment is, what are you most excited about being released, new Bibles being released in the rest of 2022? So let's start with Tim Frisch.
What am I excited about? Well, yeah, to be honest with you, this is a very hard question for me because I don't have the inside knowledge that Tim Wildsmith has.
Ooh.
And I've been hearing that all these secrets and you're trying not to you're the Tom Holland of Bible reviewers. Try not to give away the secrets. I don't know any secrets. So that's kind of good. I don't have to worry about spilling something I'm not supposed to. That being said, I don't really know of a lot, but the one thing that is on my radar I can think of would definitely be the Prime editions of the NASB 2020. Really excited about that because I have one here. The NASB 2020 has a really nice look to it. The new editions that they've done, this is the large print, ultra thin, I think is what they call it. And they're very nice. I think 2K Denmark designed this particular one. But everybody complains about the lack of quality of paper in these. So the Prime editions are going to finally, presumably, fix that. We're going to have this really nice format, but with really nice quality materials. So I think that's really exciting. Plus, I don't feel like Lockman before has ever put out what you would really call a truly premium product. So this is going to be interesting to see what does their premium product look like. It's just very curious to me. And I guess the one other thing, if it's true, I heard rumor of the Christian Standard Bible might have been like the large print personal size single column, or maybe it's just the single column personal size. I think I heard that might come out in a premium format.
Oh, that would be amazing.
And yeah, if that's true, that would be really exciting. Now that I may have heard that wrong or remembered that wrong, but I like their premium Bibles a lot, the Holman handcrafted collection. And their single column of that was beautiful. It's just for my uses, it was just kind of too big. So I'd love to see a personal size edition of that. So if that's true, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I got two different lists of from my sources. I got two different lists of CSB Holman releases sources, and they were different lists. So even somebody, I think Kevin in one of the CSB groups on Facebook was like, "Where'd you hear that?" And I was like, "I got two different lists. I don't know which one's right. I don't know if they're both right." I was a little confused about that, but I agree with you, Tim, that those Prime editions from Lockman look like they're going to be really great, and they've got some cool stuff coming out. I'm excited about that. Yeah. What about you, Tim Nichols? What are you excited about?
All right. Well, first of all, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that ICA does some really great work on rebinds. So if you've got some stuff coming out you're excited about and it doesn't quite match your needs, ICA does a great job. There are some amazing rebinders out there, but I just want to give a shout out to him because he does such great work and he doesn't get enough attention. Logos does great work. All of them do great work. But anyhow, so the first thing I'm excited about, number one, I like the NSB 2020. Here's looking at you, Johnny Mac. I like, and not that Johnny Mac, talking about the Bible's Johnny Mac.
Just to clarify.
Yeah. We said we weren't going to bring that other one up, so we'll make sure that I don't blow that. The Premier Collection NASB 2020 that's supposed to drop sometime this month, which is probably going to end up being April. But I'm really fired up about that because I love the Premier Collection. Premier Collection is probably my favorite middle road premium Bible. When you get up into upper echelon stuff, it's a little different. But when you're talking about like mass production standpoint, they're the bomb. I'm really looking forward to are we allowed to talk about this one? It's coming out in May, so I think we are. If we're not, then y'all can blame me. It's the NIV Thompson Reference Bible and Premier Collection.
Yeah, that's announced. The NIV Thompson chain.
I'm really excited about that. There's one from Humble Lamb that's coming out, and I can't talk about it, but oh man, it's exciting.
Tim has secret knowledge.
All we're going to say in this segment is I'm really excited about ones I can't talk about. Sorry.
I can't even give you the size of it, but let me tell you, it's going to be different than anything they've ever done. So there are drop caps that you've seen that are full color that will be part of this, and it's designed to be like a story, and that's all you get to know. From Crossway, I'm really looking forward. I don't think it's coming out in premium, but the ESV Church History Study Bible.
Ooh, I haven't heard of that.
Wisdom for the present. Cool. And I've actually got that set aside for Q4 because that's about when it's supposed to drop. So I am like super fired up about that. So Zondervan, we have the NASB 2020 Premier Collection and the NIV Thompson Chain Reference Bible. From Crossway, the ESV Church History Study Bible. That looks really exciting. And what really excites me from Thomas Nelson is the NKJV and KJV sovereigns, especially KJV sovereign wide margin. That sounds like that's going to be like super exciting. Of course, they've got some Premier Collections coming out with Holman. I'm really looking forward to the KJV handcrafted study Bible. I'm actually on tap to get that one. Tyndale's coming out with wide margin filaments. I think that's pretty exciting stuff. And then Lockman, as Tim already said, I'm really looking forward to their Prime editions. They're going to have perimeter stitching. They're going to have the gilt lines in the liner. They're going to have the cowhide liners, everything they've been missing in the past. The blue tint on the paper is going to be gone. I actually am the guy that likes the blue tint, but they are using more premium paper. They're having a reference Bible coming out this summer. I'm actually going to be dropping a video where I interview Pike Lambeth, and he reveals some of this stuff. So some of this stuff is about to be public information anyhow. So, and I'm telling you what, I'm looking forward. I'm probably not going to pick it up, but I'm really looking forward to seeing reviews of the Strident. I think that's going to be pretty.
Yeah, I pre-ordered the NASB Stridon from Skylar. I'm excited because it's a full size kind of standard size 6x9 Bible, but it's going to be single column. That's going to be the NASB 2020, and I just think the Stridon is going to, mark my words, everybody, the Stridon is going to cause some waves in the Bible industry. I think it's going to be. Go ahead.
Yeah. One thing I forgot to mention is that Lockman is coming out with the same layout as the Stridon. The same layout. It's just not going to be color. He told me this in the video. Be watching for that. They're coming out with the same layout as the Stridon. It's exciting.
Is that allowed to be public knowledge?
It is in my video. It's going to be public knowledge in a few days anyhow.
Oh wow. Okay. That was one of my secrets. I don't know if I hope that was okay.
It was okay. Seriously, it's in my video. I could have released it yesterday if I wanted to.
Okay, so, that's good to know. I was because this is live. In my head, I was thinking we can edit this out later. And I was like, no, wait, it's live.
Yeah.
Oh no,
everybody's watching.
Yeah, there's multiple. Yeah, I don't know if
I have made Wildsmith uncomfortable. Look at this.
I didn't think that was public knowledge that there's going to be Stridon. It's going to be Stridon here. I think. I'm going to change the subject now, just in case that was scary for me. I do think in general, you guys mentioned several of the Bibles that I was going to talk about. I think Zondervan has. They sent me a big list. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to talk about, but they've got some really cool stuff coming out this year. Same with Thomas Nelson. Those Lockman Prime editions, I think, are going to be really nice. And the other stuff that Tim just talked about that I didn't bring up that Lockman is going to be releasing. Crossway is expanding the heirloom collection with the Thin Line in the fall. I know a lot of people would love to see an heirloom collection study Bible, but that's not on the docket yet. But the Thin Line, I like that Bible. And I just think if you're an NASB fan in general, like you're getting new NASB editions from Skylar, from Zondervan, from Cambridge. Cambridge is doing the Diadem and the Topaz later this year in the NASB. And I know that some publishers are doing 95 and 2020 on things. So I just think it's a good year to be, plus all the Lockman stuff. I think it's a good year to be an NASB fan. And then the other one that none of us mentioned is right now there's 0 premium Bibles for the New Living Translation. Tyndale has essentially retired the Tyndale Select. The Caxton is gone. You don't really have a super premium option from Cambridge or Allen at the moment. And so the NLT Quintel from Skylar is scheduled for this fall. So if you are a New Living Translation fan and want a really nice premium Bible, that's coming out at the end of the year. So I think a lot of people are going to be excited about that one. And since I mentioned R.L. Allen, none of us have mentioned anything from R.L. Allen because I don't think anyone knows what's going on with R.L. Allen this year because they haven't really made any big announcements. And I didn't hear back from them when I did my video. I shared that. So I'm hoping that they release some new stuff this year because I'm one of those people who just loves the vibe, the overall look and feel of Allen Bibles. But so that's literally, I think, the thing I'm most excited about is the thing I don't know because I know they're going to come out with something. They're a Bible publisher, but I just don't know what it is yet. So I'm excited to see what they have up their sleeve. Hopefully they have some new things coming for us.
The reason I was laughing in the middle of your conversation is because Jason Whitaker just said, tell us all of your list and we'll tell you whether or not you're supposed to talk about it.
Exactly. Yeah, Jason, that's what
Good
we're
idea.
doing right now.
I promise the strike out with NASB Lockman is public information, or at least it's about to be because I'm dropping the video this week anyhow. So it's and he told me, okay, he told me. So
Fair
we're
enough.
good.
That's
Fair
right.
enough.
That's right.
Fair enough. That's awesome. So that's a little look at all of some of the things we're most excited about 2022. If you have other things that you're excited about, feel free to leave those in the comments and we'll check those out too.
Yes. And maybe in the comments, we'll have people sharing other publisher secrets that no one knows about. We'll see. So it looks like one of the questions that I think would be good to start off with here, just from the audience. And if you guys have other questions, feel free to ask them. But it's to let us know where to find your channel. So you can tell us verbally, but also if you want to type in a link to your channel in the comment section as well, you could do that. But Nichols, we'll start with you. How do they find your channel? I think you could find it pretty easily with a YouTube search, right?
Yes. Just search YouTube, Nicholsworth Bible Reviews. It'll take you right to it. I also have a Nicholsworth Facebook page that's pretty easy to find. I will, once this, I am very bad at multitasking without losing focus. So
right.
I'll have to put it in the comments later.
That's okay. If you put it in the channel comment, or the video comments, once the channel is finalized,
right,
then that comment will just be there for easy access. We could also put it in the video description.
Yeah.
And what about Wildsmith?
Wildsmith is tricky. Yours is
why is that?
Because you use your name, but you don't use your channel name for your channel.
Now you guys can weigh in on this for me. Yes. So on Instagram and Facebook, it's branded as Bible Review Blog. On YouTube, it's just Tim Wildsmith. And I did that because I have had a YouTube channel for over a decade because I was a musician for a long time and I had some content out there. And in my head, I thought my channel was going to be the home of Bible Review Blog. It is. I have some preaching and teaching videos on there, some Bible study stuff. I still have my music on there. So I've kind of branded the YouTube world as Tim Wildsmith, where Bible Review Blog is in there. Part of me wonders, and YouTube might be able to speak into this, if I just changed the channel on YouTube to Bible Review Blog, if that would be better all the way around. I don't know.
Hey, if it ain't broke, fix it. That's my opinion. I mean, will you up to 6,000 subs now?
Yeah, 6,500.
Yeah, it's working, bro. It's working.
Well, yeah. So you can find me just by typing Tim Wildsmith into YouTube or Instagram and Facebook. It's just Bible Review Blog. You can find me on there.
And I think everybody watching this.
Guy.
What was that, Nichols?
I said I only have 1,500 subs. I'm the little guy here, so I'm the one that needs the most help. People watching.
That's good. Put the plug in. Well, you got your shirt there. That's good. Yeah. I think everybody knows how to get to my channel if they're watching this video. So I don't necessarily need to say how to find it, but mine does have.
Just click subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. Click subscribe. Thank you. And mine actually, I don't know if you guys have it set up that way. It has a certain. You can get to my channel with like youtube.com/c/A Fresh Perspective.
Yeah.
Is that what you guys have? Something like that?
Yeah.
C/Nicholsworth. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. I guess this question actually just came in not that long ago. And I don't really know who should answer this, or it's asked if there's any news on releases from Scofield. And I'm thinking this is a question for Tim Wildsmith because he's a big Scofield fan now. Am I right on that?
Well played. Touche. I just reviewed the new super premium Bible from the KJV store, which is a Scofield study Bible. They took the 1917 Oxford Scofield Study Bible a couple years ago and did like a small run where they had it printed in the US, but they sent it to Royal Youngblood for being bound. And then they did a new run this year where they had everything produced at Royal Youngblood in the Netherlands. So they got nicer paper and the red under gold art gilding that Royal Youngblood does, the really solid red. So they sent me that Bible and they were really great. They're like, hey, we get it. Not everybody who watches your channel is KJV only, and not everybody's a Scofield, notes fan, based on the theology, but this is a pretty historic Bible and we're excited about it. And so I had a fun time reviewing that Bible. People lost their minds because when I unboxed it, I accidentally 2 different times, and I didn't even notice it as I was doing it, I really creased the pages. And I got messages for days after that video dropped where people were like, I can't believe you did that. But then I uncreased them and left it alone for a few days, and it was totally fine. And the people at the KJV store got a kick out of that as well. But I don't know anything else about Scofield other than that Bible. So that's all I know.
Or he's not telling us. Don't tell Nick. Don't spill the beans on Frisch's Livesmith or live stream.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There, there are Schofield Bibles, the old Schofield, available from Church Bible Publishers. They're known for having, very nice quality ones. And then, of course, the KJV store now. Wow, that's an amazing addition. Even though I'm not really a Schofield fan, that would be a pretty cool Bible to have. Yeah, I feel like
nice.
Yeah, really nice. I feel like the new Schofield, you can get those at christianbook.com. I don't know that they have anything, that's been put out uniquely in the last, few years. It seems like it's just, but it's Schofield. Like it's just, something that's been around for a long time. Now the Thompson chain, that's a classic that is getting an updated look and everything.
I am really interested to look once they update it with comfort print and all that. The purists are probably going to get that, which is great because that means people will watch the videos.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's all about views.
The Thompson chain controversy, right? All right. I really like this question, so I'm gonna move on to this question. What do you do with a Bible that is sent to you for review, but it turns out you don't really recommend it? How do you handle a situation like that?
Oh, you want me to go first?
I actually had this. Yeah, I had this happen pretty recently myself, where I was I wouldn't say I wouldn't recommend it, but it was kind of like, kind of tepid about it. Go ahead, Tim Wildsmith.
I have had, and I know you all are so surprised to hear this, that there are sometimes people who are very mean on the internet. And really? Some of my nastiest comments have been people who, say, very harshly say that he never says anything bad about Bibles, and he's, he's just trying to get free Bibles and all this stuff. Yeah. And and so one of the things I say is, my response to that question is twofold. There have been a handful of times where I've gotten a Bible. Well, here, I'll start this by saying, I don't consider myself a Bible critic. I am reviewing it, but I don't say review like I'm an art critic or a film critic and I'm here to tell you whether it's good or bad. I want to review the Bible. My goal, as I've stated time and time again, is to help people find a Bible that's right for them. And so when I review a Bible, I'm walking you through it, showing you. Every now and then I'll mention some things that I personally don't like, but it's really not about my personal opinion. It's about showing you what this Bible is and highlighting why it makes it special and what's good about it, so you can kind of figure out if it's right for you. I'm not here to say, oh, I hate this, I hate that, because I'm just trying to kind of review the Bibles and be fair, right? Every now and then I've gone on record as saying, the premium Bibles from Crossway have those 4 dinky double stacked ribbons, and I don't think those are good. I think it's kind of hilarious at this point that they have not changed at those ribbons, because everybody hates those ribbons. But not
everybody.
Well, they should.
This guy doesn't hate.
So A, I don't really consider myself a critic, so I'd like to get that out there. But B, there have been a couple of Bibles that have come to me that I just thought, this really stinks. And so my choice is, I just don't review it. And I'll say to the publisher, hey, this one's not going to work for me. I'm happy to send it back to you, because I think there's always, most Bibles, I can find something that I'm like, okay, I'm going to, even premium, non-premium, everything, I can find something to say about this Bible to showcase it to people so they can see it. My viewers want to see what's out there and what's new. And that's what I feel my responsibility is, not to necessarily bash it. I know there's other reviewers who want to be more like critics, and that's their prerogative to do that. I'm totally cool with that. So yeah, there have been a handful, not many, but there are a handful of Bibles who've showed up. I've been asked to review, and I've just been like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. Even like study Bibles, where it's like, I might not agree with the theology espoused in the study notes. I try to be, as we talked about earlier, like Tim does on his channel, really welcoming and generous to everybody, hospitable, and just talk about what's good about a Bible. So anyway, that's the long answer to how I take that. But the answer is, if I hate it, I just don't review it.
Yeah.
And not every Bible can have the perfect theology of Schofield and that study Bible, right, Wildsmith?
You're prodding me. Me.
Actually, yeah, we won't even get into that today. But go ahead, Tim Nichols.
I said, now that dispensation of the video is over.
Yes, exactly.
What do you do,
All
Nichols?
right. Yes.
What do I do? Well, it depends. I'm going to be really unprofessional. I have no B cam, like Wildsmith, so I have to get up and do something. So I'm gonna try to do this as uninvasively as possible. But I have three approaches when there's a Bible that I don't like. Number one, it depends on the reason.
Y'all, I'm sorry. Can I pause you real quick? Tim
Why?
Nichols. Tim Nichols has guns. I mean, you look pretty ripped there, my friend. Oh man.
He rips the Bibles apart that he doesn't like. That's what he does.
Yeah. Wow. So now you've got me flabbergasted. Turn the tables on me. Anyhow, back to the real topic here is there's three categories of Bibles for me. You can say four.
Okay.
The fourth one is like Wildsmith. It's so useless in my mind and so bad. Now the Bible's never useless. And then we can't even edit that out. But you know what I mean there. When the layout is just bad, the font is too small, and there's just like no one's going to be able to use this. I'll reach out to the publisher and just say, hey, I'm not going to be able to review this. Generally, they'll say just go ahead and keep it because I'm not going to be able to help you.
Yeah.
So that if I don't like it because it's flawed, for example, let's say I get it and the gilding's thrashed, or one of the papers, one of the pages has had that fold over what's not cut properly, and then I'll contact them and say, hey, this is a bad apple here. Do you want me to review this? And then we'll negotiate through that process. And if they say yes, then I'm just honest and say, hey, this isn't normal. I probably got a lame duck. A lot of times they'll send you a replacement and say, hey, we'll take that one back or whatever. And, we'll look it over, make sure that I don't like that. And another one is if it's just outright heresy. If it's outright heresy, then I'll review it and I'll hammer it. As a matter of fact, this is my most popular video. Watch the video. It's pushing 10,000 views. I'm not really controversial. I'm just laying out my opinion. I'm not being angry. Laying out, this is the deal. This is what this is about. And I tell you what, I've been getting drilled in the comments on that video. It's actually pretty. As a matter of fact, I made a follow-up video to answer the questions that I was getting asked in the comments.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's kind of approach number one is contact the publisher and say, hey, this is a lame duck, or I'm not going to be able to help you on this review. The second one is if it's something that I really feel needs to be addressed, then I'll go ahead and review it and just say, hey, it's something you want to avoid. Then the third category is, you know what, this isn't for me. I don't like this one, but they made it for a reason. It's good quality, and maybe someone will enjoy this. So here's what it is. And then, of course, the fourth category of, I guess, bad Bibles would be ones that I really, really, really like. There's just a certain aspect, like the paper's terrible. For example, the Crossway ESV Systematic Theology Bible. I love that Bible, but the paper is awful.
Yeah.
So then I'm just honest about it. I'm like, this is a great Bible, but this paper is terrible. If you're looking for good paper. So that's kind of my approach when reviewing a Bible that I don't like is number one, I contact the publisher. If I don't like this messed up, if I don't like it because it's you can hear the preacher coming out of me. Let me repeat the points. Or I tell them I can't review it. I review it for the purpose of exposing it. So people, hey, don't fool with this thing. I review it with the perspective that, hey, you know what, I don't like this, but maybe it's for you. And then I review it from the perspective, hey, I really like this, but this part of it's really terrible. So that's kind of
good. Very nicely laid out there from both of you. Let's take maybe one more question here.
Okay.
And then we'll kind of wind things down, but it's actually going to be I'll call it a two-parter. It's really two questions because I think it might be from the same person. One of the questions or parts was, what's your favorite translation to read right now? And then this person, I think it's the same one, asked if we would review the Passion Translation. So they're both related to which translation we prefer, but what translation do you prefer to read right now? And would you review the Passion Translation if you had a physical copy sent to you? I guess is what that's asking. So why don't we actually start with Nichols this time? What are your thoughts on those things?
The Passion Translation. The Passion Translation is not a translation; it's a paraphrase.
Okay.
The guy that put out the translation actually says he visited heaven and receives an extra chapter to John. That's all you need to know about that. Sorry about the controversy, Tim, but the question was asked and you pitched it to me, so I'm going to answer it. Is the Passion Translation useless? I would say it's not useless. Would I review it if they were to send me a copy? No. No, I would tell them no. Simply because the circles I run in and the people I am around, I don't want to create division. So if you want to know my opinion on it, fish it out in this video. You just got it. As far as dedicating a video to it on my channel, no, I wouldn't do it. I don't want that controversy. I don't want that mess. But anyhow, favorite translation to read. Oh man, that's a tough one. Hold on.
We know it's not the Passion. We've ruled that one out.
The New King James is probably my favorite translation to read. There you go. Shameless plug for ICA Bible.
Nice.
I need to contact ICA. You gave me the contact information, Nichols, and I've still not gotten around to do that. I need to do it.
I'm still hurt by that, but anyway, it's all good. Anyhow, here's the reason behind it. I could also go with the ESV. It's almost it's close. Those two are close. But the reason I like the New King James is because I love biblical poetry. And I really feel like the ESV and the NKJV really do the greatest justice to biblical poetry. You know, I like the NLT. Don't get me wrong. I like the CSB. I like some of the more dynamic translations, especially when I'm in a jam and I'm trying to understand something a little better. But when I get to the poetry, every time I'm just like, this almost sounds kind of goofy to me. You know, and it's probably partly because I'm so used to that King James English, but I can't preach from a King James. I've tried, and it's just like I stumble and fumble the words, and I wrestle with it and struggle with it. It's just an obstacle I don't need. So I moved to the ESV, and it's Yoda talk, which I absolutely love. Poetry should be read like Yoda. It's just the way it's supposed to be. Kind of like ribbons belong. Okay, this is the truth. This is the way. It's poetry.
This is the way.
All right. So anyhow, the New King James, I think, just strikes that beautiful, perfect balance where you get that readability and you get that beautiful King James poetry. And I feel like the ESV does the same thing. For dynamic translations, if I was to go with my favorite there, I think the CSB probably strikes the best balance. But I really like the NLT as well, but I consider that more like my commentary. I know it's a translation. I know it's not a paraphrase, but I treat that like my commentary. Whenever I'm stuck, it kind of gets me by. So that's where I'm at with it.
That's great.
All right. Well, thank you. And what about you, Wildsmith? What are your thoughts on those issues?
I'd probably be a pass on the Passion Translation. That's, you know, it's like, do I want the controversy? I'll be honest with y'all. I had a long, hard think last year about ordering one of the God Bless the USA Bibles. And then I just kind of thought, you know what? I'm not going to have anything nice to say about this. And so I'm not going to do that. You know, it's kind of,
God bless, but yeah.
Yeah. Well,
if it had Schofield notes in it, he might have considered.
Wow. I actually, you know, I've kind of come around on the message a little bit. Working with college students, I like the way it's phrased sometimes. And I read the biography of Eugene Peterson last year, and Eugene, you know, himself spent a long time working on that. I'm not a big fan of single person Bible translations in general, but I definitely I think I respect that more than I ever have after hearing more about his process of doing it. But as far as reading goes, I am personally, if you follow along on my channel, I'm doing a year through the Bible video series, and I am using a copy, a Cambridge Wide Margin, an old version of the New Revised Standard Version. I have it right here. I'm trying not to stand up so you don't see that I'm wearing sweatpants. At least Tim Nichols had jeans on, but this is an old New Revised Standard Version, bonded leather, nothing crazy special, but I'm tearing this Bible up, going through it. I'm currently just finished 1 Samuel, so I'm making my way through. I started reading the New Revised Standard Version because it was like one of the approved translations where I went to seminary, and so it's kind of been a kind of in that same RSV lineage as the ESV, a little bit more in the middle of the translation spectrum. So I have in my experience with it, I know a lot of people kind of hate on the NRSV, and Frisch, you've done a couple of videos on the NRSV. I've found it to be really readable, and I don't get hung up very much on it. There's a couple of phrases here and there where I'm like, that's not what I remember, because I grew up with the NIV. And so the NIV is still something. The NIV is what we use at Belmont. I did a video recently where I showed they gave me a Bible. It's like a Belmont branded Bible that's blue and red with the Belmont colors. And it's really cool because it's an NIV, like thin line looking Bible, but it's pre-comfort print days. And it's really a nice Bible. So I've been using that at work. So NRSV and NIV have been a lot. But as I mentioned earlier, with all of those NASB Bibles coming out, I do love to go to the NASB sometimes. And so I'm hoping to get myself a new, really great NASB this year that can kind of be one of my Bible study reference tools as I'm going through on the more word for word side of the translation spectrum. What about you, Tim Frisch? What's your perspective?
My thought was I don't really need to share at this point, just because this is my channel and people kind of hear me talk about this stuff all the time, and I think everybody knows that in principle, and by my own background, I tend to say like two top ones to pair together would be the New King James and the Christian Standard Bible. But that kind of gives the impression that that's like what I am always reading. And that's not always the case, because there's pragmatic concerns. For example, our church that I go to used the NKJV for many years, but now they're switching to the ESV is going to be the public translation for Bible reading, Bible memorization. So, for those reasons, I've been really, getting into the ESV a lot more. Plus, who my audience is makes a difference, who I feel like I'm trying to connect with. But one thing I will just say, which I think everybody kind of knows anyway about me, I'm not a big fan of paraphrases. I'm just not. I get why people, and I think for some people it's really helpful. Clearly it's helpful for some people, but it's not my thing. What I don't like about paraphrases is, and I argue a lot about the message, or people go back and forth with me a lot about the message. They say, well, it's not really a Bible, it's just a paraphrase. And I say, yes, but people use it as a Bible, in the sense I've actually seen people get up, in the pulpit and quote it. And it's fine to me if they say, this is a paraphrase and it's someone interpreting. But if you're quoting it as scripture, it's just my theology to say, I want to be as close to the original as possible. And if we're going to interpret, we need to be clear that there's an intermediary there who's doing some interpreting. And I feel like paraphrases do a lot of interpreting. And people just tend to take them as, this is what the Bible says. And it's like, well, it's one way to phrase it, but it may not always be correct. Even though you may like it, it still doesn't mean it's always the correct way to interpret that passage. So anyway, that's my little soapbox thing about paraphrases. So therefore I think where I'm going with the Passion Translation. It's not even on my radar. It's a paraphrase at best, and clearly way too much interpretation going on there. All right. So I guess we've answered, I think pretty much all the questions, and we're kind of getting out of time here. So we really should wrap things up. But I do want to say one more time, if you want to check out the channels of my fellow Tims, we've got a Nicholsworth there, Tim Nichols. So check out his channel. And then Tim Wildsmith.
This guy.
Yes, that guy, Tim Wildsmith. And both great channels, and the added bonus of having the name Tim. It's a great thing. So
3 Tims.
That's right. We thank you, everybody, for joining the 3 Tims today. Thank you for your input, questions, and comments in the live chat. And yes, thank you for the advertisement too, Nichols. And hopefully we'll do this maybe again sometime, guys. Great talking to you.
So much fun. Thanks, everybody.